There is a Twitter account called Purple Tinker. This person tweets out the following on January 6th. The community manager for Limited Run Games, Carolyn, is a transphobe who follows a veritable who's who of right-wing transphobic creeps. Unless and until she is fired from the company permanently, I am not giving them another single dime. And then she tweets out to the following. This is what this Carolyn individual was purported to have done. On May 13th, 2016, she tweeted, if you think the number of trans crying about using a bathroom is higher than the pervs using the excuse, you are what is wrong with this world. So this tweet was nearly 7 years ago. She also follows Libs of TikTok, who I follow. She follows Blair White, who I follow. I've had dinner with Blair White. She follows Ian Miles Chong, who is certainly a divisive character, but I follow and have talked to in the background in the past. She follows Dave Rubin, who's a personal friend of mine, who I know Chris isn't fond of, but that's life, you know.
That's okay.
Exactly. She follows Glenn Beck. I was on Glenn Beck's show. She follows Gina Carano, who was in The Mandalorian. This was all she did. As I understand it, this all stems from Carolyn expressing her excitement about Hogwarts Legacy, the upcoming J.K. Rowling inspired video game from Avalanche Software.
Right.
And in doing that, she drew the ire of the trans community. I don't want to say the trans community. And a part of the trans community, the online trans community. This person then went and tried to find anything they could to make her look transphobic. And guess what? It worked. Limited Run Games tweets the same day. LRG respects all personal opinions. However, we remain committed to supporting an inclusive culture. And upon investigating a situation, an employee was terminated. Our goal as a company is to continue to foster a positive and safe environment for everyone. First of all, get fucked. Number one. Second thing is, you don't respect all personal opinions. And nothing that woman didn't support an inclusive culture. And some people aren't going to like this, and that's okay. We can not like the things that we have to say. I have never seen a marginalized community in my entire life wield this much power ever. I want to stop hearing about it, about the marginalization of a community that can have a person lose their jobs like that over a 6.5-year-old tweet of an anodyne nature that was found by an activist. And the company is so afraid of the blowback from the activist that they fire the person. That's not marginalization. That's pure, unadulterated power. And it is being wielded all over the place, socially, in corporate America, in government. It's what we fucking export to the rest of the world, unfortunately. There's nothing wrong with being trans, and there's nothing wrong with being yourself. There is something wrong with leveraging your identity to ruin other people for no reason because you got out of bed one day and felt like it. That's not marginalization. That's myopia. That's self-importance. That's making you the protagonist of all things. And it's an outrage.
It's such a specific thing, like, you know, being trans, you know, and it's such a different thing than most people are used to, especially for like the overwhelming majority of like the time that we've had in this country. It's like a fairly new thing. And I do think people are afraid to ask basic questions because of like maybe like some perceived bigotry or blowback. I follow a lot of people I follow a lot of conservative people who I don't agree with. That's the nature of it. That's like the nature. Like, I wonder how many, and I don't know, maybe this doesn't apply, but I wonder how many, left leaning or progressive people she was following that they didn't even bother to take into account, because I've seen that happen a lot as well. Where it's just, it focuses on this one arbitrary side, because that used to happen to me all the time. I followed like the Young Turks. I followed all sorts of different people, but everybody would be like, why are you following Ben Shapiro? And it's like, oh my God, because this is a news platform and I want to know what's going on.
No, of course. I had to unfollow Ben Shapiro. He's just too annoying.
It's getting pretty silly. And this is something I did want to say as well.
Yeah.
There is something happening, I think, generally in political discourse, where I don't believe anybody is sincere anymore. It is becoming less and less plausible to me that people are really believing the things that they say, because Blair White, I've been friends with Blair White for a while, like not like close friends or whatever, but I saw like some weird thing about like she was talking about someone fainting or something. It was like, oh, it's so weird how it was basically like linking people kind of having strokes and heart problems to the vaccine.
Oh my God, this shit is getting so tired, man.
And to me, it's just like, I remember in high school seeing so many compilations of people having strokes on television, and like just these, it was like live leak type shit where it would happen a lot. And I just want people to break out of this weird political, like toxic gas that everybody's in, and just see where they actually are, and just stop brainwashing themselves. Because this is a side effect of all this shit. The idea that you cannot follow a person on a platform without fear of losing your job is us being completely lost. It's fucking insanity.
I think that I understand the gut reaction for the eye for an eye situation. And I think it is wrong that it's like, okay, well, we'll go after people and try to get their jobs. I think there is a right way to go about how you want to respond if you don't like what happened. And clearly it's already happening in some ways, where I'm currently seeing information, I can't verify any of this, I'm just going on the fly, that there's some kind of controversy about limited run games not fully canceling people's pre-orders. Because when this happened, people thought, I don't want to do any business with limited run games anymore. So they went and canceled their pre-orders. And that's what I would suggest to people, is that if you don't like this situation and what limited run games did, don't buy anything from them. Because it's like you say, Colin, that's where it will hurt them the most.
It's all that matters.
And that's what sends a message to other companies as well. I don't condone, especially on Twitter, it's so stupid, like constantly harassing a person or a company, whatever. It's just stupid and a waste of time. So I only bring this up just to examine the blowback. But I don't think limited run games fully calculated the scales, because I think they thought that they were in a damned if they do, damned if they don't situation. Surely they knew if they fired this person, there would be blowback, right? But at the time, I think they calculated that the blowback of keeping her on staff would be worse. That was a miscalculation. Since then, they have had to turn off replies on all of their tweets. And despite that, people are still going and quote tweeting everything they say in order to try to make a message about it. Again, I want to reiterate that I think this kind of behavior is stupid, and I'm simply using it as a way to measure the blowback. And clearly it's severe. So I don't know. It's hard to say, let's put a silver lining on this really stupid situation. But it seems like it should be obvious to them that they did not make the right decision.
I'm not spending a cent there ever again. Never. Fuck that. An absolutely unacceptable way to treat someone. That person passed all of the check marks, right? I mean, think about it. That's what's so messed up about it. The person went through the hiring, they interviewed her, they liked her, they gave her a job, they empowered her, they kept her around. She passed all of their tests.
Yeah.
But then some random weirdo comes out of nowhere off the top rope, like fucking 80s WrestleMania, and takes this chick out.
Presumably, those tests were also background checks, so they also probably knew about that tweet. They probably knew about the people she was following, that's kind of the other thing to it, is like it's a moral posturing on the behalf of the company. And this is kind of a side effect of like, this is exactly what I say when I'm talking about like when money becomes like the pure and only motivator. I understand that that's the only general kind of guiding principle for a company. But when you are so afraid of any slight tick to your bottom line that you treat people who work for you poorly, that's not the system not working as it is. That's the system working as it should. That's protecting a bottom line. And it's misguided all the time, generally. But that is what's sad about this. And I bring this up whenever we talk about like a company selling themselves to Tencent. It's this pursuit of money beyond just basic ethics. That is, it's where we are now. And it's,
yeah, it's very well said.